Extra, and today we're going to be reviewing at least two of the stories from Classic Doctor's New Monsters Volume 2 from Big Finish. Now, if you remember from last year, I really liked Volume 1. I'll link the description to that review in the comments or the description below. I really enjoyed that box set, so I really had some good hopes that this one would continue on that massively awesome box set. So, of course, due to some time constraints right about now, I'm only able to do 2 episodes at a time reviewing. So I'm going to review the first and last story in this episode. I know. Why aren't you going in order? I'll explain right now. 2 of them are Vashta Nerada stories, or the Vashta Nerada, and the other are the Rachnos and the Witch episode, the Witches from the Shakespearean Code. So I'm just going to review the Vashta Nerada episodes, and then in the next one, probably on Wednesday, I'll review the other 2. So let's get started with Night of the Vashta Nerada. So I really liked the Night of the Vashta Nerada. It was a very good opening to the story. I definitely liked that the 4th Doctor was in it. He felt like it was the right Doctor for this type of story, a very creepy, atmospheric story. That's the perfect Doctor, because, you know, his era, it was very known for that gothic horror type stories, and this story definitely delivers on that. So, of course, the main setting takes place on Fun World. And this is an amusement park, and the Doctor is arriving there for some fun after his recent traveling companion departed. And it's not a place for fun, because the horrors that are happening at Fun World is just beginning. So a crew, called Amanda Steele and her crew, and the owner of the park, Donnelly, are going to the park after all communications stopped after, I think, a survey crew. So no more communication, so they're going to see what happened. And of course, as they run into it, the Doctor just pops out of nowhere. And I love that scene, the pre-credits. It was awesome. It is learned by a lot of the investigation that there's some mysterious things happening. Like people being devoured, they discover some skeletons, and all that. So of course they find out that the shadows are literally coming to attack them. And you get to see the Vashta Nerada attacking and the crew. So basically the reason that the Doctor was kind of confused that this was the Vashta Nerada was because the Vashta Nerada don't really attack humans. It's kind of unknown for them to attack humans. So the Doctor was kind of confused. So then he learned that Fun World was built on a forest planet. And it was also a forest of Vashta Nerada. This was their habitat, and Donnelly basically destroyed it. So they picked humans as the next prey. That basically makes the Doctor go crazy. Not crazy, but he's just, you know, like, you did what? Because they didn't scan for the appropriate number of lifespans. They just went with kind of, oh, there's no humans, it's uninhabited, and they built the Fun World. Which is, of course, sad. And, of course, you see the price of it. The Vashta Nerada attacking humans. The story also presents itself where the Doctor, in a way, loses, but he also kind of wins at one, because he, of course, stops anyone coming from to this planet again. So no one is coming back to Fun World. But he also loses because, well, the events that happen in the story. I don't really want to spoiler, you know, what happens, kind of, so I'm going to try to keep it spoiler-free, but he does lose it, just lose by that fact. But I will say, I will spoiler one thing, yes, Donnelly does get her just desserts, that's all I'm going to say, and that makes me reminded me so much of the owner of the kind of institute, or wherever it was, in Dalek, you know, that rich businessman who was more concerned about his precious artifacts than the live means of his people. Donnelly really reminds me of him, just going to point that out. What I will say is, when I first heard that the Vashta Nerada would be in this box set, it was like the Weeping Angel all over again. I did not think they could do a performance of the Vashta Nerada in audio, and I was proven wrong. This was great. I loved when they attacked all the people. When they attack people, you hear the sounds and that. And of course they use the dialogue to say, he has 2 shadows, he has 2 shadows, or she has 2 shadows. And that's how they were able to give you the experience of hearing the Vashta Nerada. So I really enjoyed that. So overall, what did I think of Night of the Vashta Nerada? Well, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a great story to kick off the box set. Tom Baker gave a great performance, and it just fit kind of perfectly into his era, this gothic horror story. And I think the best part of the story, for me, was the setting. I just love the setting of this fun, like the amusement park, closed and creatures lurking in the shadows. I really liked it, and you also get to see the kind of ignorance a little bit with the people who don't listen to the doctor very much, or they just do what they want, and of course that. And that shows how the doctor is here to help, but sometimes the people don't really listen to his help. But yeah, Night of the Vashta Nerada was a very enjoyable story. And let's get to the very last story, which was Day of the Vashta Nerada. See what they did there? One's night, one's day. Day of the Vashta Nerada is a 8th Doctor story, and this one is set during the Time War. So basically, you know what the Time War is. Daleks, Time Lords going at war. You know the story. We don't need to spend time talking about that. But, of course, the Doctor arrives on this space station, or this synthesis station, where he gets a distress call, but finds out there's no one really needing help or evacuation. There's nothing going on, which is kind of curious. The Doctor's wondering what's going on. But, of course, it is found out that the Time Lords arrive a little bit after he does, and they learn, of course, the Doctor is there. Of course, we get reunited with Cardinal Lystra from, of course, the War Doctor audio range. And she's, of course, oh, Doctor. I thought the performance between Cardinal Lystra and the War Doctor were great. The 8th Doctor also give that, because he's just not wanting to fight alongside his people, and that's a big question. Like, why aren't you fighting alongside your people, Doctor? They're your people. So you get a lot of that, kind of mirror it. So basically, it's mirroring a lot of events that kind of happen in the War Doctor audios. I really do enjoy seeing the Doctor conflicting with his own people, but that's happened so many... That's basically the big thing with Doctor Who a lot. The Doctor conflicting with the views of the Time Lords in this story continues that. You get to learn a little bit more about why the Doctor's not fighting alongside people. Basically, it kind of mirrors what happened in the Night of the Doctor. I'm a doctor, I'm not a warrior. So, of course, they're continuing that thread. So, back to the Vashta Nerada. There, of course, if you want to know one spoiler, the only spoiler I'm going to give you is that they're from Fun World. Yes, these are the Vashta Neradas from Fun World. So that makes them a little bit more angrier than usual, and that was what kind of the stress call that the Doctor was getting, was these creatures wanting help. Because they're being experimented on by the synthesis group to basically be able to be controlled by them. And it's just... Vashta Nerada being controlled by people to do their bidding. I love that concept. Because the Time Lords are kind of sponsoring it, because this is the way they think that they can basically defeat the Daleks. So they can kind of defeat the Daleks using the Vashta Nerada program, because they eat them alive. The Doctor does not like this program. You can't just control them, and of course it does backfire on them, and, you know, Vashta Nerada go attack people. Same old, same thing happens. Pretty much, it's very similar to the first story, where Vashta Nerada attack people, and the Doctor's trying to help them get out of it. It's very similar, with some different elements. Like, now the Vashta Nerada get on the Doctor's TARDIS, and he has to stop them, and all that. It's pretty much the same. The aspect of the story that they kind of flip the story of the Vashta Nerada, and they give you light-based Vashta Nerada. Now that one, that's creepy. I'm just not gonna lie. That is creepy. Overall, this was a great story. I think I liked the Fun World one a little bit. The first story, The Night, a little bit better, but this one was still okay. It was great story, had some enjoyable moments, and it gets me really excited for the 8th Doctor Time War box set that's coming later this year. Because the 8th Doctor, not wanting to, he's kind of going at odds, he's like on the outskirts. I cannot wait to see what this box set does. And if Day of the Vashta Nerada and the Sontaran ordeal, like from last year, is any indication, it's going to be a very great range. But yeah, so far, Night and Day of Vashta Nerada, a very good kind of story that kind of becomes like a two-parter, because they're similar aspects, and basically the Vashta Nerada originate from the same place. So both of these stories are amazing, and so that's it for tonight. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click that like button, and tell me if you've listened to these stories in the comments below. Tell me your thoughts on them, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the second part of this review with the last two stories, which is Empire of the Arachnos and the Night Curse. So you guys, we'll see you then. Bye everyone.